Let's cross it now to Berlin and speak with Ben Aris. He's editor-in-chief at BNE IntelliNews. Welcome to the programme, Ben. Now, Volkswagen represents nearly 8% of Germany's GDP. If they actually close 4 domestic factories and cut 150,000 jobs, will this drag the already struggling German economy into a deep, prolonged recession?
It's already in recession, or at least stagnating. Things are really bad. The German economic model is fundamentally broken. That's driven partly by the sanctions on Russia that's cut Germany off from a lot of the key inputs it needs, particularly cheap Russian energy. The 8% figure you're quoting is actually a bit of an exaggeration. Things are bad, but they're not quite that bad. 8% is based on Volkswagen's global sales. And if you just take the domestic sales, it's closer to about 1 or 2% of German GDP. And the entire car sector is about 5% of GDP. But the whole car sector is in trouble. And this is a huge employer. Germany's economic setup is different from the rest of Europe in so much as it's, as we know, a manufacturing powerhouse. And manufacturing makes up about a quarter of GDP, as opposed to 15, 16% in the rest of the EU. And so this economic slowdown is very painful. Another factor that plays here is that the way the country is structured, rather than having a big city in the middle, they've spread it out over the whole country, and each town is dependent on a factory. So any factory closures, any job cuts is going to decimate local economies, which makes it a very nasty political problem. And in VW's case, I mean, they're headquartered in Lower Saxony, and they've already decided to send the Golf production to Mexico. And Lower Saxony and IG Metall, the main union, are dead against that because of the impact it will have on the local economies. But the bottom line here is, we're saying that the economic model is broken in something like BAS, the heavy industry. The lack of Russian gas is a problem. That was a feedstock. In Volkswagen case, the real problem is that it's no longer competitive with China. China has overtaken it, and it's competing not on luxury, but on cost. The Chinese are producing cheaper and better cars than VW can because it's been caught napping. It didn't make the investments into innovation, into software, into EVs. And now it can't compete, and they're struggling to catch up. And struggling to catch up means they're cutting jobs. They're going to halve their product line. They're going to have to go up market. And the mass market model that brought them to the success, the biggest car company in the world, that's over. They have to reorientate, remake the business, and go for a niche they've lost to the Chinese.
And with that disadvantage, can Volkswagen realistically survive without permanently moving its base out of Europe?
Well, it's stuck. You can't leave Europe, as I said, for political problems, because each factory it closes kills a town in Germany. So the politicians, locals, won't let that happen. It can survive, but it was the biggest and most powerful car company in the world. That's no longer true. So it's going to end up, the ground has shifted underneath it. And the way it will survive is go up market, do luxury. The exports to the States actually are up 23% on the luxury end. But it becomes a niche player, or one of a smaller player in a larger business. And it's lost its lead, and it will never regain that.
Ben, thanks for speaking to us on TRT World. Ben Aris in Berlin there.